So good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à tous et à toutes, and welcome to tonight's presentation of OTF Connects, titled Get Kids Talking Using Tech Tools with Anya Kitchen and Carrie Daniels. We have a good-sized group tonight with mostly new participants, so I think it's going to be an exciting session. It's always extremely impressive to see how many passionate teachers from across the province are joining us on OTF Connects to share their ideas and support each other. Comme lors de chaque session, je voudrais profiter de l'occasion pour souhaiter la bienvenue à nos collègues franco-ontariens. Cette session est en anglais, mais si vous désirez obtenir des informations en français, surtout n'hésitez pas à nous contacter par la suite. We are definitely thrilled to have each and every one of you with us tonight, and it's also our absolute pleasure to welcome Anya Kitchen and Carrie Daniels. Anya and Carrie are new to OTF Connects. It has been a great pleasure for me to work with them in the last few days, preparing their very first session. They told me that they were tremendously excited about sharing with you a number of tips and tricks and apps that they have tested with their students. They both work for the Hamilton-Wentworth District School Board. They've had the privilege of presenting for EDFO, the EDFO Summer Academy, the Principals Conference, the HWDSB Rewired Conference, and also at many other events. Anya and Carrie are both techies, and they're always looking for innovative technologies to increase student engagement. So at this point, I will pass the microphone to Anya and Carrie to let them keep introducing themselves and share their experience with all of us. I believe that Carrie is going to start. So Carrie, please feel free to click on your talk button to turn your mic on, and go ahead anytime you want.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. So welcome everybody. I am so excited to be here today. As Michelle mentioned, I am currently teaching for Hamilton-Wentworth District School Board. I am a Gifted Plus system class teacher. I work with students who are gifted, who can benefit from additional support. There's just something that's getting in their way of their gifts is how I look at it. My previous role, where I worked with Anya, was as a learning resource teacher for a large rural school. There were 8 kindergarten classes there, so we had 30 kids in each class, a teacher and a ECE, and I worked there for the last 6 years in that role. I'd be helping with IEPs, class observations, advice of self-regulation, speech, assistive technology. So no easy feat in responding to those students, but it was a lot of fun. So in my current role, I really work hard to stay one step ahead of my students. It's not easy with the gifted crowd. They're quite talented, but it's really enjoyable. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm going to hand it off to Anya now.
Anya, you have to remember to click on your talk button. I guess you forgot. I hope you can hear me, Anya. Carrie, do you know what if Anya has access, or I don't know what's happening, but it looks like we can't hear her. I don't know if, yeah, okay, it looks like she's having problems with her microphone. Let me see if I can help with that. Hold on a second. Okay, Anya, try again.
Okay, I've got it now. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, okay.
And thank you, everyone, for your patience. As Michelle said, this is our first webinar, and there's just a few little tech glitches to work out at the beginning. My name is Anya Kitchen, and I've been teaching for 24 years. I have taught grade 1, grade 3, spec ed, primary, junior, and intermediate. My last 5 years have been in kindergarten at a rural country school with 9 classes. We have a small army of 270 kindergarten students, and we just love using technology with our kindergarten students, and it's amazing how they are so fearless and adept at learning and using new apps. We show them how to use something, and they always come back and show us something that we didn't know. So we're confident that if we can have 4- and 5-year-olds using these apps, that we can have you using these apps as well. and we're very excited to share with you through this webinar today.
So today we're excited about featuring 4 great apps that we hope you will want to play with tomorrow with your kinder kids. Our first app, and let me just adjust our screen here, is the Tell About This app. In this app, you're going to be able to capture students' thoughts and their stories. So there's great documentation that can happen with this one. The next one is called Draw and Tell. You're going to be able to capture student imagination and their artwork with that one. So lots of creative options there. Then we have the Book Creator. With this app, I use this right up through junior age students. Students can add audio, images, and even video into their own stories that they create. And there is a first app option with the Book Creator that's a free option that you can create one book with, and we'll be looking at that in a minute. The last app we're going to look at tonight is Explain Everything, and this is the app that can do just about anything. So students can animate and narrate stories, they can import pictures, they can export to Google Drive or email, they can annotate their thinking, they can use virtual manipulatives. It is just an app that does everything as the name implies. So getting started with looking at why we use apps, there is this model. It was designed by Dr. Rudin Putendam. He's a PhD professor, and this model is designed to help educators infuse technology into teaching and learning. It supports the purposeful use of technology. The goal of this is to transform learning experience so they result in the highest levels of thinking, such as creating, explaining, the evaluation of their thinking, and really just engaging kids. So an acronyms are SAMR. S stands for substitution. When we look at substituting an app in for old technology, pencil and paper perhaps, we always think about what will I gain by doing this? And here I'm just going to use a pointer so you can see what I'm looking at. Here you can see we have apps like this GeoBoard app here. And that's just substituting using a real GeoBoard, but now you can use a virtual one. Or we have QR crafters over here. That helps you to read about more information. Instead of having all the information on a poster perhaps, someone might have a little code on it, and you could point your phone or your device at it and get more information that way. So you're always thinking about what can I gain by using technology. For this, it might be efficiency, it might be space. The next step is looking at augmenting your learning. So for this, I'm going to feature this app here, Notability. So this is where kids can talk in to a device or they can print. So it's just augmenting what you're already doing. It's a slight improvement to how we're currently working. Most of you are familiar down here with Google Docs. So this allows you to now share information easier. So you've augmented how we hand in work. It allows teachers to give feedback to students or allows students to work more collaboratively. Next, we're going to move up the ladder again. Again, we want to head towards this R, this redefinition. So we're at modification now. This allows the technology to be significantly different. So this is where we haven't been able to do this before. And I'm going to feature this GarageBand app. This is great for people who want to play instruments, they want to produce their own songs, but you don't have a lot of instruments in your classroom. Well, they can do that on GarageBand virtually. Today, we're going to be telling you about this app. This is the Tell About This app, and we're going to be featuring Draw and Tell. So we've already moved all the way down to modification. We're already doing something significantly different than how we were taught, how we were raised, because we're trying to prepare our learners for that 21st century. Going on to the R redefinition, we love this Do Ink app. We use this for green screen and producing videos. iMovie, a lot of kids find that very engaging. That's where we can produce presentations like we've never been able to do that before. And you'll see that's where Explain Everything lies and Book Creator. So we're creating new tasks in ways that have not even been conceivable in the past. If you have questions, please post them in our chat as we're going along. Next, this is just another way of looking at that Sandler model. So sometimes it is okay just to vote across and using tech to act as that direct tool of substitution. But there's other times we want to dig deeper with our learning. We want to really engage kids, and we're finding that if we aim towards that redefinition, if we aim towards that higher level learning, we're getting the most success from our students. We're really transforming that learning for them. I also want to remind you that while you're learning to use apps, you are taking risks like we're asking our kinders to take risks. So sometimes, in your journey, you have to appreciate that it's the journey that's teaching you, not the destination of when you actually get there. We want you to enjoy, we want you to have fun, and we definitely want you to explore the apps when we're looking at them together. So our first app, tell about this. This app is compatible with just the iPad. Some apps we're featuring today will work on iPods, iPhones. This one is just for the iPad. You'll see here that it has a free version. We love this, but it is limited. So it's limited to doing one tell about, but it has the full version. So you get to use all the app features if you're wanting just to look at it. The full version is $3.99. And you'll see with the full version you get 100 images and prompts. So with this app, kids are exposed to a picture, and they are going to use this picture as a prompt, and they're going to tell about this picture. What's interesting is that often kids like to tell about whatever is on their mind, not necessarily what's in the picture. So we see this right up through grade 3 and 6 in EQAO. They're not even responding to the question in front of them. Well, this actually starts back in kindergarten. Do they recognize what we're asking them to respond to? This is an excellent, excellent tool. It's an excellent skill for them to learn about at a young age. And what I really love about this app is that it's customizable. So you can work with student engagement. If there is something that a student is highly interested in, maybe even they perseverate in a certain area. And I'm thinking about maybe some of our students who may have ASD. You can use their interests and encourage them to tell about that picture. So I'm going to just switch us to the next slide. I'm going to let Anya tell you all about the app features and how she uses it in her classroom.
Okay, when you open up the Tell About this app, this is the screen that you will first come to. You'll see that there's lots of picture prompts. There's 13 categories with approximately 10 picture prompts in each category. There's also an option where you can add author profiles, and we'll feature that on the next page. This is really important here. Oh, I'm just going to turn on my pointer. This is really important right here, turning off the music. When you turn the app on, there's some music that comes on, and even my kindergarten students are very quick to turn it off. It can get a little bit annoying. The settings is a one swipe to the right, and you'll see that you can put you can have your text prompts on, voice prompts, autoplay. It will read to the students what the prompt is. You can create your own custom prompts. It will highlight the text. There's a quick delete, and the one-tap record is important. If this is checked, it only allows the students to have one opportunity to record their thoughts. We like our students to have more than one opportunity. They may say, I'm done, and then we can still talk about the picture and ask them, is there anything more that you would like to add? And quite often, they will continue to add to their picture. We're going to move on to the next slide, and this is where we have the profiles. So you can see these are some of the students that are in my classroom. I've used the Sketch app to pixelate their names for privacy reasons. If you click here, add a profile, you'll see that you can add the student name and you can add a default email address. I use my own email address, but you could add the email address for the parent, and when the student was done their tell about, they could certainly share it with mom and dad would get that to their email. This is what it looks like if you open up one of the picture prompts. Here's the prompt, and you can have this so it turns so that it will read to them. It will also highlight the text as it reads. When the student is ready to record, they will hit record, and as long as you haven't turned off the one-tap record, students will have an opportunity to continue their recording. They can play it to hear how it sounds, and then they can save it. I have two examples to the right here, and you'll see the link in the chat box, and you can have a quick look to see what that looks like and sounds like in a kindergarten classroom. So I think Michelle is going to put those links.
Yes, I have just placed the link in the chat box, so go ahead, pick up one of these links at the time, play it in your browser, and watch it, watch each of them. They're very short, and then when you come back into the room, please remember to give us a green check mark to let us know that you have returned. Thank you. Great. I think that most of you have now reviewed the video. So, Anya, I think that we can resume the presentation in a few seconds. So just remember that you need to click on your talk button when you start talking again.
Okay, I hope you had a chance to watch those. The first one here was Weston, who is a JK student, and Ella is a senior kindergarten student. After the students have done their telebouts, we have Apple TV in our classroom, and we will watch their presentations via Apple TV. I always ask the students, is it okay if we share your tell about this? And they ask me, why are you asking permission? And I tell them that's etiquette. And I have never had a student say no yet, but there's always a first. Afterwards, we critique them, and the students give a thumbs up. They tell something that they liked about the teleabout, and then they make a suggestion. They may suggest, you talked too fast, and we've also been prompting the students to pay attention as to whether or not they've actually answered the question, because you can imagine in junior kindergarten and in senior kindergarten, there is quite a bit of variation. So it's great for the kids to give feedback to each other. On the next slide, you can see here, you can create your own prompt. So you can take a photo right in the app, or you can add a photo from your photo album. And this is an app, or this is a photo that we did at Halloween, and we used our green screen, and each of the students and the teachers too, we like to have fun. We had our photos taken in front of in front of a green screen, and then we were able to place a scary background in the back. So you can add your own text, and we say here, what are you afraid of? We can record our voice that says, what are you afraid of as well? And here to the side are some of the custom backgrounds that the students have made themselves, and they've been able to talk about those. And you can see there's a garbage can. You can delete the apps as you see fit.
I see there's a great question in the chat. Have these apps been board approved? Yes, they have. We are so fortunate at WDSB to have what we call an app catalog. And in that app catalog, we have apps we can go to free and download. So our board is highly concerned about us using third-party apps. We only use apps that store the pictures, etc. here on our personal iPads. They're not in the cloud anywhere. So that was a really good question. Thank you for asking that. Yes, the app that we use is green screen. It's by Doink that I did feature in the Sandler Model. So you have that picture of that octopus or squid there. So with this Tell About app, how do you see yourself using this with your students? What I'd like you to do is go to our Padlet. So I have the QR code here if you have another device and you have a QR reader on it, such as your phone, or you can go to Padlet. Padlet is an online Post-it note program, and that's where we're going to gather our thinking. And so Michelle was putting the link up in our chat. There it is. If you could either click it live or copy and paste it in your browser. then we can go, and I just did it with one click and it opened. So now I'm in Padlet, and what you can do is click on the pink plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner of the Padlet, and then you can tell us how you would use Padlet in your classroom. And I'll put an example up. Not working.
Carrie, I can see that some people have entered notes in Padlet, but they seem to be on top of each other, so I don't know if you can. Yeah, okay. You need to move them around. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. It replaces the talk about it big book we use to use. I like it because the kids can just get their ideas out and not worry about writing it down. One of the other things I've used this where is when we have kids with some speech concerns and you want to share with a speech and language person, when you have permission to talk about a student, you know, how their speech is. And it's a nice record for you to see that growth in their speech over time as well. Sometimes parents forget what the speech should be like. They get so used to it, and it's nice to kind of compare speech sounds in kids and to show parents when they are working so hard with kids that it's actually working. And we want to encourage, you know, more speech activities with them. Oh, for French immersion, it is fabulous for introducing vocabulary. Okay, to get back to the main screen, you should have a purple icon that says Blackboard Collaborate on the bottom of your screen. And you're just going to click back there on that. If you've lost your link, you can always go back to email. Can you click on the check mark symbol to let me know that you're back?
Yes.
So thank you everyone for collaborating on your ideas. It's great to learn from others, and that's something that happens with Annie and I every time we present. It gives us new ideas to use in our own classrooms when we get back to school. So our next app that's up is our Draw and Tell app. This one is compatible with iPhone, iPad, and the iPod. In this app, children of all ages are going to use their imagination, they're going to be storytelling, and they can use open-ended play with this app. So they're going to draw, and they're going to color, and it has stickers for them to decorate with. And they can create animations, and what I love about this app is listening to their beautiful little voices recording their stories. This app is free, and that just recently occurred because Khan Academy acquired all the Duck, Duck, Moose apps, and this is part of that consort of apps. We love all the Duck, Duck, Moose. I was just wondering if anyone else has used the Duck, Duck, Moose apps before in their own kindergarten classrooms. fabulous, fabulous apps. We've never had one that steered us in the wrong direction. So I'm going to hand this off to Anya, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about how she uses it in her classroom.
Okay, before I talk about it, how we use it in our classroom, we have a short video that we found online that we think is really great, and it will explain all the features of Draw and Tell. If you can take about 3 minutes to watch that video. Again, Michelle has pasted the link into the chat room, and take 3 minutes to watch that. And if you have any questions or ideas, or you're really excited, come back and share those in the chat room, and we're really excited.
Michelle, we have a new participant. Can you repost the Draw and Tell link, please?
Sorry, I posted the wrong one. Hold on a second. I'm going to repost it. I posted the next one instead. Hold on a second. I'm going to repost it. I can see that people are coming back into the room. I just wanted to let all of you know that all these links will be provided to you tomorrow as a follow-up email. So if you don't have the time to view a video tonight, or if you had to take care of your kids or something like that, don't worry about it. You will receive an email tomorrow morning with all these links.
So I moved us along to slide 15, and on this slide you're going to see 2 examples of senior kindergarten work from Anya's class. So if you could, Michelle, post those links, that would be wonderful, and you can check out those 2 examples. They're quite short. Natasha has a great question. She's asked if there's a time limit on recording, and no, there isn't a time limit. And what you could do though is use this to make a story that had like a beginning, middle, and end, and you could chop up the recording into 3 parts if you like. So once you do stop recording, that's it. That's the limit of that app. You can see in the first one, the fire truck. These were made with stickers. There's very little drawing on this page, and the same with the second one. So they're pretty slick for the kids to make. Sometimes kids really get involved, and they do a lot of drawing. But these ones were done quite quickly just using the stickers. Okay, moving on to slide 16. How can you use Draw and Tell to make program connections with your students? We'd like to get your ideas. If you can write your answers in the chat room, we'd love to read about them.
Carrie, how long do you want to give them as the exercise? Should we give them 1, 2 minutes? What do you think is appropriate?
Yeah, just a quick 1 minute for answers. That would be great. As a kindergartner, I can remember a little JK coming in and telling us about his weekend, and we could not understand for the life of us what he was talking about, but he had gone to a pumpkin patch and he was having difficulty just enunciating the words. And we used the Draw and Tell app for him to draw out a little bit of what he had done and use those stickers. And once we were able to say, okay, this is something he's experienced this past weekend, and make that connection with him, it was really helpful, and it was a very meaningful moment for him. Another example, we've had a nonverbal student who we wanted to include in the classroom as much as possible, and so we would send the iPad home, and Mom would help the student with the drawings, and then would do the over-speaking for him and provide a voice for him. So he was able to bring his iPad back to the school, and then he would play his iPad for the class, and the class would be able to be wowed by his voice, and that was really meaningful. Thank you very much for your suggestions with the character descriptions, making your own ending to a story, retelling a story, using it with reading buddies. I love, love, love these ideas, and they're how we've been applying this app in the classroom. This is great. So let's move on to Book Creator. So this is the one that you get the free version to create one book, and if you want to buy the app, then it's $6.99. There is an Apple discount. If you buy 20 or more apps, say you do it as a school, then this app becomes half price. For $3.50, you can get this app. So Book Creator is widely used. It allows students to communicate their ideas in a number of different ways. We've used this in math, in content subjects like geography and social studies. We've used them for social stories on how to line up, how to enter a classroom, how to share, how to take turns. And we've also used it for student-authored fiction and nonfiction books. The possibilities are endless with Book Creator. So here is an example of how to use Book Creator. This is a 5-minute video. Please bear with us. It is one of our longer videos, but it was done by a student in Anya's class, and she just did such a fabulous job creating a how-to-use book video. And you will see that our links are being posted by Michelle, and our links are stored in HWDSB-TV. We used to store our links to YouTube, but then again, that's a third-party app, and you have to worry about security nowadays. So our board created their own channel that we can add our TV selections to, and that way we can secure the privacy there. So check out the link, and we'll get back together in 5 minutes.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching that video. We know it was a little bit long, but we've received some great feedback here. You know, did an amazing job. It really is fantastic how these young students are able to use these apps so proficiently. It's great. I have teachers come to my classroom asking me questions. Oh, how do you do this using Book Creator? And I'll just call over one of the students. I'll say, Matthew or Michael, come on over and explain to Miss Dean how we use Book Creator. So it's pretty neat. Here's a few examples of how we use the Book Creator in our classroom. This first one here was done by a little guy named Jace, and this was in, I think, about October. We were in the staff room, and there was a big spider, and all the teachers wanted to squash the spider, except for me. I saved the spider, and I excitedly brought him back to my room, and the students were so excited to have the spider in the classroom, and it spiked a little inquiry about spiders. So I had about 4 students who followed through with this for almost a week. And Jace read a book about spiders, and then he used the iPad to take pictures, and he told about the pictures, the spiders that were in the pictures. And the second one here is The Very Hungry Caterpillar. We read the story of the Very Hungry Caterpillar, and we were working on retells. I had 2 students, Lila and Ella. They drew their own pictures, and they retold the story. At the bottom here, a few of Victor's favorite things. This was in September, building classroom community. We were getting to know each other. Parents submitted 5 to 7 photos to my email. We popped them into the Book Creator app, and the students were able to tell about their favorite things. And this last one here was by one of our senior kindergarten students who created this book during free flow and then wanted to take pictures and use the Book Creator app to publish her story. And for our students, and for any students, it's very important for them to have an audience. And we have a classroom blog where we share their stories. So this is a perfect way for them to publish their stories and share them with a greater audience. So if you want to take a few minutes, I think Michelle has posted the links for these in the chat room. Yeah, I can see them. They're posted there. So take a couple minutes, watch some of them, watch all of them.
I can see that people are starting to come back, so let's give another few seconds, and then we will resume the presentation. So sorry about the blank here. And yeah, I think that you can resume. I think that most people are back, so I guess you can go ahead.
Thank you, Michelle. So now on slide 20, we're asking for your thoughts on Book Creator. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to use Book Creator with your students? 0 is not at all likely, 10 is extremely likely. So what you could do is grab maybe the second one down. I'm looking at the hand on the vertical strip, and I like either the smiley face, any of the symbols that you have are on the common symbols, and you can place your symbol on where you would place it for your own class. And I see Sarah has her hand up, so I'm going to give Sarah the mic. Oh, maybe not.
I think she was just trying to grab a symbol.
Okay. Wow, look at this. We have some great risk takers here tonight, Anya. Wonderful. This is what we want to see, you know, is that you come to a webinar like this in your pajamas or and then tomorrow think about how you can actually make this happen. The sooner you start using the apps, the more familiar you'll become with them. You don't want to leave this learning too long before you get started with it. Thank you, everybody, for participating in that. On to our next slide. What is Explain Everything? Well, this is the app that the ministry is really pushing people to start using if you haven't already started it. What's great about this app is that you can take pictures of worksheets and you can use it just as a simple modification. You can then up the ante by putting it into an augmentation and do things that we've never been able to do before. You can create, you can publish, you can record, you can make animations, you can have kids showing their thinking, you can insert media from a variety of sources, and then you can export all of this back out to areas that make it simple for you to maybe upload to your blogs. For example, using the Google Drive. Some people like to collect assignments using Dropbox. And you can store a lot of this right into photos if you like. So this app is a little bit more pricey, but you get what you pay for with Explain Everything, $10.99 an app. So this is the initial layout. This is what you would look at when you're beginning to create your project. So here I'm just going to run through what you see there. There's the pointing tool, there's a highlighter, a pen, you can insert shapes, you have different fonts you can work with. Inserting objects, there's an eraser, there's a laser pointer. It even has a laser pointer that looks like a lightsaber from Star Wars, and the kids love waving that around when they're annotating their work and they're showing different features of their work. They'll be using that laser pointer to point at things. They can arrange objects, you can lock objects down. There's an undo tool. That's the famous tool that we're always looking for in every app, is how to take us back one step. You can zoom in and zoom out, and you can collapse your toolbar if this is getting to be too confusing. And then you have your font colors or your themes, and this is just how you would slide from slide to slide. So you're actually making a slide presentation. You can record a voiceover using the microphone, and you can see the recording time lapse. And then when you want to export, it's the share button right here, and if you're saving it, it's here, and then to go back to home. Wow, that looks like a lot for kindergarten, you're probably thinking. So what can we do to make this simple? Well, they've thought of that for us. Turning to the next slide, you can see at the top there's a gear icon. That's a settings icon. And if you press on that, there is the simple interface that you can click on. And this is what it would be accessible for the kids. So it's a lot easier for the kids to use. They can still undo, which is great, but they don't get bogged down with all the choices that they have available to them. Okay, so we're going to look at some examples that Anya's kids have done. Oh, Anya? Yep. Yeah, that's right, sorry. There is a short tutorial that we can watch on the simple interface. So, Michelle, could you please post that in our chat for everyone to go to? If you could take a minute to look at that simple interface tutorial, and then we'll get back together and we'll look at some examples.
So I think that most participants are back. So Carrie, Anya, I think that in a few seconds we could resume.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for watching that video, and I hope that made some sense and that you could see your kindergarten students using the Explain Everything app, because our kindergarten students are certainly using it very independently. This is a great tool to collect formative and summative assessment. You can see on this slide, I have some alphabet sounds, and the student not only printed the alphabet on a board, he printed the alphabet on a board, we took a picture of it, and then you'll see when you have an opportunity to watch it that he uses the pointer tool and he says all of the sounds. So that's a great tool when parents come in, you can share with them. The next one is a running record, and that's one of our students who is a JK, and she makes a self-correction. And the last one on this page is a story retell. We read the story of the 3 little pigs, and each of the students had a story map they drew out there, setting their characters beginning, middle, and end, and then they had an opportunity to use Explain Everything to tell about all of the different parts. On the next slide, I had a student during outdoor play created this train and then went on to count all of the people who were in the train. We took a picture of it, we put it into Explain Everything, and there I have a comment for the report card. This one in the middle is an instructional video created by students on how to print the numbers. We watch that quite often, and they chant the little poems for each of the numbers. And the last one was by a student who created this Lego structure and then wanted to talk about it and share it on our classroom blog. So Michelle has kindly put all of the links in the chat box, so if you want to take a few minutes and watch some of those, and when we come back, we'll talk about how you use or how you would use Explain Everything in your classroom. So take a few minutes to watch those videos, watch all of them or some of them.
I think that most people have returned again. I mean, I guess we could resume whenever you want.
Okay, welcome back. I see a really good question from AW. AW asked if anyone's tried to submit an app purchase for a teacher tax deduction. This year we get to deduct up to $250 of classroom-related expenses, and that includes everything for books, pencils, crayons, computer equipment, and software. So if you are making a purchase, please save your receipts. Another thing I'd like to mention about the Explain Everything app is I've seen Anya use this really effectively and post to her blog. And what that's allowed for our parents, she had a dad who was working in the oil fields, and he felt really disconnected from his family. And he didn't know what to talk to his little guy about when he started his conversations in the evenings. It was, what did you do at school? And the little guy was like, you know, general answers of, I don't know, played, had fun. And when the dad was able to see videos of the student creating maybe the Lego creation, like in the one video, then he was able to say, that was so cool, and I got to hear how you did it and what you were thinking at that time, and I really love this about it. And it really helped with those family connections. I've also seen grandparents join Anya's blog, some as far away as England, and stay really connected with the kids and what they're doing in school. So, you know, that homeschool connection is really important, so it's been great for that. Moving on to slide 26. Keep calm and explain everything. How would you use Explain Everything to make program connections with your students? Could you please, on this slide, go down to the vertical toolbar and enter text on the page. So if you just click on the A with the lines next to it, then you will be able to click over onto the page and start typing. And I'd like to get your ideas.
It's actually better to use just the regular A. Just use the regular A without the lines, just the simple A.
Oh, yes.
And for those of you who are on mobile devices, feel free to type your ideas in the chat box, because you don't have the vertical tool strip, so you cannot use that little A, that little text tool to write on the slide. So just feel free to type your ideas and suggestions in the chat box. Thanks.
This does allow you to type anonymously. So if you're worried about putting your idea there and you are on a laptop, it's a great tool for just sharing your idea. Oh, I love the ideas you're coming up with, the documentation, the talking about challenges students face when they're building or creating, reading, and documenting that reading, and then looking back at it, you know, month after month, and helping them to see their growth and celebrate that growth in their reading. Talking about their creations, especially right away, because sometimes they have all these thoughts and feelings as they're creating, and then they're done and they move on to something and they're like, what was I doing? Why was I doing that? So it's great to get those ideas before they run away from their creations there. I love the idea of including our ELLs to talk, whether that's just parroting information or you know, labeling and learning new vocabulary. It's also great for those of you who are teaching French immersion. You know, you can have an example, they can repeat it. Lots of great content areas, science, social studies, and communication and being inclusive with your communication for those with learning disabilities. I like that idea too, that's really good. And the digital portfolio. We are taught to help kids understand who they are. It's that all about me portfolio that we should start kids building and learning their identity and learning what they're good at and what maybe they're challenged with, but that's okay. We're going to focus on those strengths and use those strengths to propel them forward in life. Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts and ideas. I'm going to hand it back over to Anya. We have a bonus section.
All right, looks like our timing was pretty good tonight, or just about right on, but we have a few extra minutes, and we have one additional app as a bonus app, and that is Pic Collage. Some of you may be using it in your classrooms already. This is an app that we use every day. We take our pictures, we put them in Pic Collage, and we share them on the blog. I have a video here of a little guy in senior kindergarten from my classroom last year, and he's created an instructional how-to video on how to use Pic Collage. There is one little trick that we do not show our students, and we are going to share that with you tonight, and that's really great for those of you who have OCD. And if you put your picture, lots of teachers we know have OCD. If you have your pictures, and we've seen teachers spend enormous amounts of time just twisting them just so to make the pictures all straight. Well, believe it or not, if you take your iPad and you give it just a little quick shake, those pictures will straighten right up. And we're sure that you're going to really love that feature. Just don't do it in front of the kids, because it's something that we're really not wanting kids to do. We're not wanting the kids to shake the iPad. It's okay if their pictures are a little bit crooked, but we know as teachers, we like to have things just so. So remember that little shake the iPad, and we're not trying to pull a quick one over you. It really does work. So take a few minutes and check out that Pic Collage, and then we'll be back and be ready to wrap it up. All right, thanks everyone for your great feedback. It looks like lots of you tried to shake your iPads and were quite amazed that it actually worked. That's fantastic. We just wanted to make a comment about having the kids use the microphone. Yes, it works great, but you have to be careful. We had a little guy one time who was wanting to tell about his vacation, and he went on a ship. We ended up changing ship to boat for this little guy. He had a little bit of a speech impediment, so just make sure you double check what has come up on the Pic Collage. We did have somebody ask if there was an icon to save the Pic Collage to Google Photos. I'm not sure about that. If any everybody knows. If you could just put that in the chat box, that would be fantastic. We do use AirDrop quite often, and in fact, we were at a board presentation, and we had 4-year-olds saying to teachers that were in our board, "Is your AirDrop turned on? We'd like to AirDrop this picture to you." They were doing green screen photos. So AirDrop works really, really slick. It does not work on the older iPads, though. So that's iPads 3 and iPads 4. And I see that we have a hand up. And Carrie has her hand up. All right, Carrie, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thanks, Anya. I see that Sarah J. has actually responded to the question. She's saying that you need to download Google Photo apps, and all camera roll will do there automatically. That pic collage goes right to the camera roll. So that would be a neat thing for us to try when we get back to our classroom. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing that. We're going to move on to the last slide. We see that our time is closing out here. We want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and sharing with us and teaching us a few tips and tricks tonight. We're asking that you share your examples with us. We're going to use the hashtag #TalkWithTech. Can you just show me with a show of hands who is on Twitter? Oh, we have a few people. This is great. So Anya and I have left our addresses there so you can know how to get a hold of us. It's always great to include OTF because they're the ones that are paying for this webinar, and we want to show them that it is a valuable learning tool. You can also include your principals to show them how you are transforming the learning. And feel free to look back at this webinar and look at the how-to videos to make sure you understand how to use the app. And feel free to share them with your class. Kids pick up these apps so quickly, quicker than adults do. This is what they've been born doing, is pushing buttons, so they are not afraid to take the risk to try new things. But thank you so much for making the learning meaningful for us tonight, and I hope you continue to make it meaningful for your students and you get kids talking with tech tools. Good night. Thanks again.
Thank you, Anya and Carrie. So right on time. It's just 9 o'clock, so it's perfect. It went really, really smoothly tonight, which is great considering it was your first OTF Connect session, so it's good news. I think that I can speak in the names of all the participants to tell you how much fun we had watching your students express themselves through various technology tools tonight. I particularly loved the fact that kids are discovering new things all the time and sharing them with you and with their friends. And since learning through teaching is always the best, obviously. Anyway, it was truly a very exciting presentation with tons of extremely useful ideas and tips. As always, I also want to thank all of you for your participation and for being such dedicated teachers. It was wonderful seeing your collective contribution tonight. It's always wonderful to see how cooperative these OTF sessions can get and how you all jump in to share your experience and your ideas, and you were all really great tonight. So that was really there was really a ton of participation. So that's great. For those of you who joined a bit late or had problems with your internet, I saw that some of you lost connection during the presentation. No worries. We will email all of you a recording of the entire webinar tomorrow morning. So just a few more things, if you can give me another couple of minutes. We had a great program this season with OTF Connect, and I just want to show you a few sessions for the next few days. On February 23rd, a presentation on inviting students play game that require making investment decisions, acquiring resources, etc., by Brian Aspinall. Then on March 2nd, a presentation by Maria Vamvalis on critical math inquiry. She's one of our most engaging facilitators. I've worked with her in the past and always enjoyed her presentations very much. And then on March 8th, Laura Ginny Newman is back for the second part of her presentation on creating a thinking classroom for primary mathematics. And the link is there if you want, but I'm also going to paste these links for you in the chat box. Give me a second. Here they are. I also would like to tell you about another opportunity provided by OTF and the Ministry of Education. If you're a qualified teacher and completed an additional qualification course in math, technology, or kindergarten, you may be eligible for a $450 subsidy. And here's the link to an OTF page with all the required information for you to apply for that subsidy. As you know, your feedback is extremely important to us. When quitting Blackboard in a few seconds, you will be presented with the opportunity to give us your feedback on tonight's session and fill a short online questionnaire. The survey only takes a few minutes, so if you could do it right after the session, it would be greatly appreciated. You should be redirected automatically to the survey page when quitting Blackboard. As a new feature of our webinar, OTF would like to offer you a small bonus as a token of appreciation for your participation. Once you have completed the feedback questionnaire, you will be redirected to another page allowing you to enter your name, and you will then receive a certificate of participation to this training session that you will be able to add to your professional learning resume. If you don't have the time to complete the survey tonight, or if you have missed anything, don't worry. As I said, we will send you tomorrow a follow-up email with the recording and all the links. But in the meantime, here are the links to our feedback survey and a certificate of participation in case you are not being redirected automatically, but you should actually be redirected automatically. I also would like to provide you with the link to the resource page for tonight's presentation. It will be live tomorrow morning. So that's everything that you heard tonight, the recording, all the links, etc. will be on that page tomorrow morning. So that's it. Finally, I would like to invite you to follow OTF on social media as well as on our OTF website. I will now end the recording of the session. Please feel free to remain online if you wish to ask Carrie and Anya additional questions once the recording has ended. Otherwise, I wish you all a very good evening. Thank you once again for your participation in tonight's session, and we certainly hope to see you soon on OTF Connects. Bonne fin de soirée à tous et à toutes, et à très bientôt sur OTF Connects. Merci beaucoup. Bonsoir.